Go, Ghostly.
EJ,
Hey.
can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah.
Cool. I hope there's not a delay. Anyway, well, it's great to hear such a wonderful accent because in the Terra Mystica world, it's relatively rare.
It is, isn't it? There aren't that many Brits.
No, there used to be Flower. Flower used to play a lot, um,
Okay.
and he's a great player, but I haven't seen him around for a while. He started posting odds.
Stretch Nuts is around.
Yeah, Stretch Nuts is around a bit more recently. Yeah, he's good fun.
Oh, and your good wife, of course.
And my good wife Husky, although she hasn't played much recently. She's exploring other things, but she'll be back.
Okay. Do you play with real life people?
No, I never. I didn't pick up a faction board until the pandemic, basically. And just before the pandemic, I spent a fortune on Terra Mystica and all the expansions, including the kind of £20 piece of cardboard, which is the extra town tiles and and the landscapes expansion. And then kind of pandemic hit. So I played two player with Husky. I don't know, quite a few times, but just kind of instantly fell in love with the game. I think I kind of played Catan only before that. I hadn't really played board games, honestly. I played Catan a few
Yeah.
times and then Takenoko a few times, and that kind of opened me up to, and Carcassonne, and that kind of opened me up to games. And this was all in like March last year. I played Terra Mystica, but I read a lot of reviews about Terra Mystica, bought the game, played it two player, and instantly fell in love with it. It was like kind of Catan on steroids with no luck. It was just like wow, sort of bringing in like the economy building from kind of, I remember Monopoly years ago, a bit of risk because it's kind of map control, and then kind of Catan on steroids and just no luck, and you're just like wow, this is perfect game. And then played two player quite a few times, then played with some friends on Board Game Arena quite a few times, had no clue what we were doing, even played revised based as our standard. And then I guess the rest is kind of history. I remember just trying Arena after a couple of months playing and just getting completely spanked repeatedly. Um, and then the rest is history. Got stuck in, and
Nice. Yeah, like that sort of we did the same where I was playing with friends and we like deliberately tried to not play with other people on Board Game Arena. I've only ever played on BGA, but we kind of wanted to sort of learn it without like spoiling it by like having other people teach us. Does that make any sense?
yeah, no, it does. It does.
Like not looking up whether Earth One is good or not and stuff like that.
Yes,
But then at a point you're just like, yeah, I've got to play Arena. I've got to get good.
yes, that's I very much identify with that.
So we were like planning this. I'm still like loath to call it a podcast, but this thing, and we were like looking for Fire to open stars who we could talk to.
I better leave then. I better leave then.
Well, you became a star of the Fire to Open tournament on
Steady on, steady on.
last Wednesday, was it?
Yes, well, I mean, I guess it started on Wednesday. The registration was on Wednesday. I think the first game must have started on Thursday at about kind of 20 past midnight Thursday morning. But no, I really do not. I reject the notion star for sure. I mean, I've made it into the competition. That's I kind of feel like I feel on top of the world about it because it's just like a really big milestone in my personal Terra Mystica journey. But it's yeah, star. I'm not ready for that title yet. Maybe one day.
It's very cool. It's very cool to be in it. Like, yeah, you watch it and you've watched it from the start, I guess, right?
Yeah, the very first season when and I called him Bizzle earlier, but I should call him Bizzell because that's his actual name. When yeah, him him and Junior were commentating, and it was by invitation only. There wasn't even a qualifier.
Oh, so it wasn't open in that case.
No, it wasn't at all. It was by invitation only. And I don't know how they assembled the groups, but they just picked the best players in the world and ran a competition. And it was amazing to watch. I mean, it was just a kind of a whole nother world of Terra Mystica opened up to me then. And I then followed F2O and played in, I think I've played in every single qualifier there's ever been, except the one since last Wednesday.
Yeah, I saw you say that. Or did you say it to me? I can't remember. But you said that you've played in every single qualifier that he's been in.
Literally every one. The closest I came once was, and I can't remember which season exactly it was, but I was up against Zorast in the second game. And I came second in that game, but it was like second by 40 points or something. It was unreal. He played a ridiculous. I think it was a cultist game. It was just unbelievable. But so I was like second, but yeah, second by a long way, which was unfortunate. Yeah, because the best second was going. Oh, hang on. Okay, so the best second was going through, and there was another table that was only a 3-player table, and it was just too easy for the second player. So anyway, you can cut that. Yeah. You can cut that bit from the non-podcast.
No, it's interesting. It's interesting.
It was some drama, and yeah, someone progressed. They felt a little bad about it actually because it was controversial.
Oh, because they just got an easy way.
Yeah, it was a bit easy, and I'd actually kind of fought pretty hard against Zoras and did pretty well actually. So there was some controversy around it, and I kind of inflated the controversy for fun and for kind of sympathy vote.
I see. So is this the first time that you've had to play? So I've got the games. I'm looking at the times. Your second game started at, and we're in the same time zone, at 2:25. Is that the first time you've played a 2 a.m. second game, or have you done one before where you've had a late start?
No, I think the one I am describing, my memory's bad, right? But I think the one I'm describing was a second game on a Wednesday.
Okay, so it was another late night.
Yeah, just a bit crazy like that, I guess. The way I thought about it was like, look, it's only one night's sleep, right? And how could you knowingly give up a shot at qualifying?
Yeah, that's fair. That is fair. It's cool, the people who try it. And yeah, Super Xani tried it last night and he got to a second game. And then also I've got one of my real life mates played last night as well and also got to the second game and then got beaten by Ranyor. But yeah, they're Europeans and it's, some respect.
I think the Wednesday Europeans have won the last 2 tournaments, right?
Oh.
I mean, it's definitely not happening to me. It's definitely not happening to me, right? But Istari and Ginu.
Yes.
I think they were both Wednesday night Europeans.
Yeah, I think you're right. So there is something to live up to.
But no, I'm fully expecting to go out first game. And if I had a kind of dream, it would be to get second, get into the second chance game, and then do enough to qualify auto for next season. Just like that would be a highlight. But I'll do my best, see what happens.
To avoid further late nights and lost sleep.
Yeah, or just for the prestige.
Again, looking at the games, like there are no easy qualifier games because there are big names in the qualifiers every time.
Yeah.
But you played some good people.
It was unreal.
Your first game, you beat Hephaestus, CH Tennis, and I'm okay.
Yes, it's unreal. If you look down, if you look at the current arena rankings, there's some good players there that I played. And Hephaestus is an amazing player.
Yeah, he beat me in my qualifier the other day, and that put you back up into expert as well, by the looks of things.
Yeah. Yeah, I got I don't know, 46 ELO or something out of 2 games.
Yeah.
But, I mean, my ELO fluctuates like crazy, so it's hard to know, but it was pretty low. And then 46 ELO or something in 2 games.
Yeah, and then you beat Chickens, Matt the Lesser, and George Shortwell in your last game, which again is a solid table. And Chickens qualified second placed closest, I think, because it was very close.
Yes.
9 points in it.
Yes. The kind of interesting thing about both of those games was, CH Tennis was playing Alchemist, and personally, I thought they would struggle. And then he ended up coming in joint second with Hephaestus. And Hephaestus was playing Nomads and had a ridiculous start. Like his first 3 rounds were just incredible. And then in the end, ended up drawing with Tennis. And then Chickens was playing Mermaids and looked out of it for the whole game. His link was almost cut. The other 2 players were looking in it, and then Chickens came second. It was kind of strange, the cycle of the game.
Yeah, that's interesting. And then the other interesting thing about this one is that it is the rare occurrence of a quadruple 30 bidding game.
Yeah, no idea how that happened. So you have Chaos, Nomads, Alchemist, and Auron on Fire and Ice.
So I did the challenge. I gave myself the ad break while I was watching TV the other day, and I loaded it up, and I avoided looking at who you picked because I knew you'd won, obviously. And I tried to decide, and I landed on Nomads as being the best.
Yes.
And I think Auron is the worst.
Yes.
But you played Chaos and won. So maybe, I don't know, maybe the listeners can look at it themselves and decide who they think was the 30 faction and who won the auction.
Yeah, I'd be interested to know. I mean, frankly,
it was a really tough one though. Like the Chaos, because Chaos are very good on Fire and Ice, and Nomads, I've got no idea I still can't play Nomads on that map. So it was a tough one.
Like Chaos are good, but they can be vulnerable, especially with Yellow in. And then when Yellow is piloted by Hephaestus, I did not hold out much hope at all. But I guess I played a lot last season, so I just I rushed shipping so badly to get up to the northwest just to secure that second town spot, because you're just in danger of everything being closed off very quickly. I was lucky. I kind of made it there in time, established myself there. So frankly, I probably would have. I mean, at the time, I definitely backed Nomads once we'd kind of got going. But the track was better, I thought, for Chaos, which is why I went for them. Just looking at the colors, fine, Nomads might be stronger, but I thought the track and bonus cards slightly favored Chaos, so I thought, forget it, I'll go with that. But frankly, I had no clue I'd end up with 30, because Chaos seems to never go for 30 on Fire and Ice.
Because you were first seat, right? So you bid first.
Yeah, exactly. So I just bid them first, and then when you got Alchemist and particularly Auron in, how is Chaos going for 30? So I was just astonished when suddenly all the rest went and we're suddenly in the game.
That's that thing about that first bid is sometimes you think it's like a free bid and it's not final, but then it can end up being who you're playing.
Totally happened. And then I remember typing wow, that just shows that none of us know what we're doing in this auction. And then I forget who it was replied saying, or they were just all perfectly balanced. It's like, okay, one of those two things.
But yeah, you did it. You won both games, which is very impressive. And the second game was Dwarfs as well, who are notoriously bad on Fire and Ice.
Yes.
So that's cool.
So I threw them in and said, yes, I've gone there in the chat. And then one of the other players chucked in Fakirs and said, yes, I've gone there too. And then got Dwarves for 30. In fact, Dwarves and Fakirs both went for 30. Just on the first game. So it was actually it was the Europa League final earlier that day. So I'd had a couple of beers watching that. And then started playing the game, and I had some wine I was going to drink, and I said to Hasky, I was like, and to myself that, okay, I will not open the wine until the second game, because I wanted to kind of pace myself. And so then, into the first, I think it was the very first round. The auction ended, we placed, and then a couple of things happened, and I immediately went to get the wine. I was like, there is no way I'm going to be needing this for the second game, because this is a disaster. So yeah, and then I just could not believe it by the end of it. I was just kind of fist pumping in my own living room.
So one of the questions I had written down was, what were you drinking? And I was thinking before, would you be a beer guy while you're playing Terra, or would you be a wine? But it was wine, was it?
Well, there. If I'm totally honest, well, maybe not totally honest, but I had a couple of beers before. I had some wine, and then in the second game, I had a gin and tonic.
Nice. At like 3 a.m. or something.
Yeah, because I didn't want to get sleepy. Right? You're in danger of getting sleepy if you just stop.
Yeah, I mean, I've got no idea what the strategy is. Like, I'm sure, should you be having coffee? I don't know, rather than alcohol.
Whatever it was perfect for that moment. Clearly, because I made it.
It worked.
But I wouldn't recommend it. Don't do that at home, kids.
Yes, people playing Terra Mystica should drink responsibly, of course.
Yes, and it doesn't help you win. It's not a performance enhancer.
But it can be nice to enjoy a nice beverage while you play.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I definitely enjoyed myself. Let's be fair on that particular occasion. I was over the moon. For like 2 days, I was kind of on a slight high.
Oh, that's so good. I love. Yeah, I've had a few games where afterwards, you, yeah, like you just feel great, and like you just like reliving this game. It's cool.
I even had a work meeting the next day with my team, like about this big project we're working on, and I kept telling them what we had to reserve 5 minutes at the end, so I could tell them about my board game news.
Did you, because it was quite close? Did you know, had you like worked it out before the scores came in that you had it, because you won by 2 points? So presumably you hadn't actually fully calced that.
Yeah, I've got to be honest. I'm pretty bad at doing the maths at the end.
Mm-hmm.
Generally, it's something I kind of really have to force myself. But I think it's a kind of trade-off. Maybe I feel like my instinct's quite good, but it can be wrong. But it's generally pretty good, so I kind of rely on that too often to try and kind of see who my main competition is. I very rarely crunch the maths, and I'm sure it's lost me a game by a point or two here and there. And that's so infuriating. Like I tell myself I must do that, but yeah, I could do better on that front.
But you just watched it come in and then celebrated after.
Yeah, because you increasingly get like an idea of what's about to happen. Oh, and the interesting thing was, oh goodness, so Haskell was next to me and watching she was on the Discord looking at the chat, and I was getting roasted in the chat. I mean,
Oh yeah.
probably quite fairly. Although at the time I remember like being, I mean, I just won, so I was just like, no, I must be right. But who knows? Whatever. Well, let's park that. But in any case, she basically thought I'd thrown it away, and she also claims, by the way, that she fell asleep for 5 minutes, so actually didn't see the chat coming towards the end, and then kind of woke up as it finished and was like, "Oh, chat thinks you've lost it or thrown it away." And I was like furious, and then like just watching the scores come in, and obviously it was wrong, and I had one. So yeah, it was very jubilant, and I was yelling really inappropriately, and she was worried about the neighbours.
Oh, that's so good. I was wondering whether she was watching while you were playing, but she stayed, well, apart from for maybe 5 minutes, she stayed up for the whole thing as well.
Yes, yeah, absolutely, and she totally didn't intend to.
She just wanted the drama.
I think the first game was streamed. Tennis streamed the first game. So she watched that. She watched that with headphones, and I actually put some drill music on and just rinsed away while playing on separately. So that kept her awake for the first game, and then I guess there was quite a lot of drama for the second game, and she was just looking at the Discord chat whilst I was still kind of having a gin and tonic at that point, listening to more drill music.
That's a very funny image. I love it.
Yeah, there's a contradiction in terms, right? Drill music, gin and tonic, and board games. That's just like a heady mix.
while someone's like on headphones watching a Twitch stream. Yeah, like yeah. So is she going to stay up for the matches plural?
100% she will.
Nice. Because yeah, like the actual tournament matches you'll be playing in will be whichever division it is, the fire division or whatever, that will be at that same time, right? So you have to stay up.
I think it's ice, yeah, but it's only ever one game, right? So that's helpful. You don't get 2 games in a row.
Oh, of course.
So I'll be able to go to sleep at whatever 2:30. Although I think the game tends to take a bit longer. Like people really agonize over the auction. I mean, we won't have a 30-30-30-30, I'm guessing. People agonize over it, so it tends to take longer. But at least I'll get to bed at a slightly more reasonable hour.
But like we said, there's a grand history of Europeans staying up that late.
Won't be me. I'm kind of nervous, to be honest. I played on Ranier's stream a couple of times and or maybe a few times even, and just end up doing such bizarre stuff. So I'm always liable to collapse a little. Like in my normal life, I actually operate much better under pressure, but there's something about the Terra Mystica game and community and know that you're being watched by all these people and analyzed by the always first thing is like, what did the casters say about me? So like, it just adds a layer of pressure that so far I've kind of buckled under, if I'm honest with myself. Like I've often had good few rounds at the beginning, and then particularly on Ranier's streams, I've just ended up doing some weird stuff and buckling a bit. So I have to kind of exercise that demon.
Yeah, I guess the best thing is to just not think about it, right? Like that has to be the best way of treating it.
Easier said than done.
Sure, yeah, of course. It is. Yeah, it is slightly weird playing, knowing that people are watching, and that they are probably analyzing your moves for sure.
Oh, big time. And there'll be some hot takes, and there'll be some roasting, whether it's justified or not. Although so I played on Zora. The first time I broke 500, I was on Zora's stream. So I just remembered that now. I should just channel that. That's what I need to do. Channel that feeling. Because that time, actually, I played really well on Zora's stream. So I'll try and remember that rather than Ranier's streams.
Nice. So yeah, you don't, like you said, you're just going to play it and hopefully maybe get into the second chance game, and you're not got any grand plans. You just see how it goes.
I'm notorious for playing down my chances and expecting the worst and hoping for the best. So I'm going to try and nail it. I'm going to try and win that game. There's no doubt about it. But I'm going to tell myself that that I'm just super happy to be there, and it's obviously a win in the first place just by being in that illustrious community and with those great players. And we'll see what happens. But no, of course I'm going to try and win. I'm not going to mess around. And I just don't believe in trying to aim for second, honestly, because you're trying to aim for second, you'll end up getting third. You try and aim for first, and if you get second, it's great. You know what I mean? Like, so I don't think you can really, or I can't play to not try and win it.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I'd agree. Right, you gotta play to win and see what happens every time.
Because like if it's suboptimal for Darklings or something, and you think, oh, Darklings are resilient, I'll take that just so I can get second. I think that's probably a recipe for getting third or worse.
Yeah, I'd say so. Is there anyone particular like you'd like to play or you'd like to avoid? Do you want a game against the big names, or do you want a game against some of the lesser names? I guess it's seeded, so you're probably going to get at least some big names in your game.
Yeah, interestingly, let me think. Funnily enough, I don't believe, if anything, I've got a negative correlation between lower rank rated players and me. Positive correlation between lower ranked players and me doing well. Like I kind of back myself. I'm quite sporadic, so I'll do well or not well. That just happens, but it doesn't seem to be too much impacted by the opposition. And quite often I find supposedly lesser good players harder to read. So I don't know. In that sense, I'm kind of agnostic. I would say I think they'll all be good players, and I don't really mind who I come up against. I think that some of the players are more predictable than others.
Yeah.
Perhaps, like, yeah, I don't want to give too much away, but I don't think it's just that. I think it's also that they have a kind of strongly favored way they like to play. Whereas there's some other players, I mean, like Deep Finesse, I find so kind of intricate, but also varied in his approaches to things that kind of scares me a bit. And Halai is just so creative. I wouldn't know what to do half the time. But having said that, I've got reasonably good records. I mean, it's quite funny. Like Deep Finesse, I think he was playing for quite a while, and then he suddenly shot up. So just before he suddenly shot up, I think I had a winning record against him. And I mean, obviously now he's like superhuman. But also Halai, I've had good games, regardless of the opposition. So who knows? Anything could happen.
Yeah, I can see some good hits on these player histories. Very nice.
I played a lot of games though, so I got so addicted to the game. So yeah, I played a lot of games.
It's an impressive amount of games, to be fair.
It's unhealthy
over the course of a year, but then it has been like a year when there's been nothing else to do apart from play board games online.
Yeah, it's like an illness though. I don't do that at home, kids. Do something else.
Hey, it's all good fun. It's all good fun.
Yeah, I've loved it. It's actually kept me going, honestly, through all of the pandemic.
Yeah, for me as well. It's been a very good discovery for sure.
And shout out to the community as well. Like the Discord it's awesome. It's like such a kind of significant part of my life now, which I didn't even know Terra Mystica existed, nor the Discord, not that long ago. But now it just feels like quite a significant part of my life. So shout out to the community as well. It's just absolutely awesome.
Yeah, a lot of good people. And for the tournament, you said you don't really like the Fire and Ice map particularly. Is that true? Over others?
Yeah, I hate it. I don't hate it as much as some others. I think some others are boycotting it. So no, I'll play it. But yeah, the weird thing is now that I've had those 2 games, then I feel like I should hate it less. But I'm not a big fan of it. For some reason, there's something about the starting spots, I think, where I find it hard to read where the center of activity is going to be. And like on base map, it's very predictable. You've got a good sense of where it'll be. On lakes, there's kind of a number of options of where it could be. Whereas on Fire and Ice, it almost feels binary. Like it's going to either be over here or over here. And if you've misread it, you're screwed. So that kind of makes it, to me, feel quite swingy. Also with the fact that you can get cut off so easily, there's kind of 2 halves of the map. So yeah, I've struggled with it. Not my favorite.
It's going to be a fun tournament for all of those reasons.
But then, yeah, maybe I've got newfound love for it. But yeah, I agree. It'll be exciting. It's really cool to have different maps. I remember in the very first F2O season, Ondas winning on Fire and Ice. The whole game was on base, and then the final was on Fire and Ice. And I'd never even seen the map, I don't think, before then. Well, apart from in my expansion that I bought for a huge amount of money and have never actually played. And he took Fakir's, and he was getting roasted hard by the casters and ended up completely nailing it and taking the title. It's hard to read it. I do think it's hard to read the map.
Yeah, it is very strange playing a new map for the first time is so weird because everything you know is suddenly almost worthless, and you have to just like all of that inbuilt knowledge of like where do I put my initial dwellings and who is good just goes out the window. It's a weird feeling, isn't it?
Which I think makes you a better player in the longer term because it makes you think again. Like it makes you go back to basics. Like, what am I trying to do here? I'm trying to get leech. Okay. Like you kind of just go back and break everything down again and don't just have some set rules that kind of engineers have to start in this spot on base map. Things like that.
Yeah, it's kind of like testing your fundamental skills in a way, rather than like your knowledge of what's good and what's not.
Which hopefully is good long run. I don't know. When I first started playing, I was like really, I wouldn't even say mediocre. I was really bad for so long. And I was really up for trying all sorts of different factions and things like that. And my theory was that one day it'll all come together. So hopefully getting destroyed on all of these maps means that one day it'll all come together.
Fire to open 2023 champion. Hey.
Hey, how are you?
Yeah, good. Very good. Yes. So you wanted to correct something you said before. It's a few days after.
Yes.
As you said, you remembered the injustice, but not the facts.
Yeah, and I'm determined. Well, not determined. I've got a name for this section if you want it, which is extra air. And we'll also know. Yeah, extra air. You see what I did there. Also, we'll find out who the true nerds of the Terra Mystica world are, if any of them have lasted this long to hear this and can cite it, or at least we'll find out the Venn diagram of true nerds plus people with too much time on their hands, and that will be the segment we're talking to now, I guess.
I like it.
As for I guess there was a couple of things that I was going to mention. One was just reflections on the closure of the qualifiers, but there was the injustice that was rectified, but which I just covered so badly last time, which was in relation to getting that second place to Zoras and just not making the cut
in one of the previous seasons. Yeah,
and it was even a few seasons ago. It wasn't even that recently, because it actually resulted in a rule change. And the funny thing was that yesterday, when we were again watching this stacked set of qualifiers, unbelievable quality there that made it and didn't make it.
Yeah, it's worth saying we're now talking on the day after the final Saturday of qualifiers, and so we were hanging out on Bizzle's chilled out stream after I failed to get through my first qualifier game. So yeah,
commiserations. That was tough. I looked in on your game a few times. That looked tough. But I was just doing some posts for Facebook, or a post for Facebook, and there was 43 games, and I think over 70 hours of play. Well, I mean, rough calculation on the time, but 43 games of qualifiers to get 12 people. It's huge.
Which I said is one of the things I really like doing the qualifiers. Is it's really cool knowing that there are these 10 other or whatever games going off at the same time.
Yes.
And then you finish yours, and you're like, oh, did we finish first? And ours was one of the first finish. Then I could like go around with the other games and see where they were getting to and stuff. It's really good fun.
Yeah, exactly. It's like the last day of the Premier League when you don't know who's getting relegated, and that match of the day cuts across all of the various games.
Yeah. Or as the American reference is the Red Zone broadcast.
Yes.
Do you get that? Are you an American football fan? Do you?
I do not. I had no idea what they're talking about, apart from it was quite clear like what they meant. But I was not aware. Cool. And Bizzle just did it freestyle because he was covering one game, and basically Zevok was just smashing it so hard that people started inquiring and commenting about what was going on in other games that were closer. And so Bizzle literally just freestyled, cutting across the different games on his overlay only just kind of handled what Bizzle was trying to put it through yesterday. But it was excellent. And during that I was commenting because like Warak, I was just looking, he got third place, but he got 97% of the top place score. I think he was like 4 points behind. And there were some other brutal ones. I mean, I think Logus got third place because he had 2 coins fewer than the person that got second place. So it went to tiebreak because their score was the same. And there was just so many close things. And I was kind of bemoaning how harsh that was. And then Husky reminded me the truth of the story that I tried to say last time, which was when I got beaten by Zoras. by a healthy margin. And then the other game was a 3-player game. And at that time, the rule was that it was just a percentage of the first place score. Your actual final position didn't make a difference. And so what had happened is that I'd got knocked out because Zoras had beaten me so comprehensively, even though I did a super good, I think it was a Nomads game in second place. Meanwhile, the 3-person table, all of them went through.
Okay, I see.
Because Rickery in third actually got closer in terms of percentage to the first place, so the entire table went through. Meanwhile, on my 4-player table, second place did not go through.
Yes. Okay. I see. And so then that meant that the rule was changed so that it is the closest second place.
Yes.
But you have to be second.
And I managed to moan sufficiently to have a rule change made, which is, as you describe, it has to be the closest second place, which then throws up some of the harsh realities of yesterday.
Yeah, like where Age was very gracious in admitting that he got, because there were some big winning margins, and Age was on like 77.65%,
Yes.
and someone got 77.13%, which was, I think, was a 38-point margin in both games, but because the highest winning score, the absolute score was higher. So yeah, which is an interesting thing when Warwick then is very unlucky to get knocked out. Yeah,
maybe if he throws up drama like I did, then it could result in another rule change. I don't know.
Yeah.
It was super early days, and there was a general feeling of harshness when the entire 3-person table went through and only Zoras went through to the 4-player one. And Rickery, who I haven't seen for a while, but he's a super strong player, was almost apologetic, a bit like AJ was when he went through with a 3rd place finish. Basically, he was last. Like, he was literally last on his table and still progressed, even though I'd put a valiant effort up against Zoras and managed to get 2nd place on a 4-player table. The last place went through the other. So it's coming back to me. The feeling's coming back.
That's good that you remembered it. But it is very difficult to especially when you don't have a multiple of 4 people entering the qualifiers, so you end up with these random games, and it can be any number of people having a go, but that's part of the fun of it.
Yeah, it's all drama. The drama actually makes it better, right?
Yeah.
As much as we hate the 5-player games, the added drama is almost worth it. And I think in the last season I had 4 out of 5 of my qualifiers were 5-player games. So they're horrible, but there's something about the drama that's fun.
One other thing I thought worth mentioning as I was doing the edit of our conversation the other day is this has been talked about before, but just for the people who aren't so familiar with Ghostly, are sort of more casual listeners, it's worth mentioning that when you're playing with Haskell reading the Discord and stuff, she's not relaying anything to you, which I'm sure everyone is aware of, but just in case, I thought I'd make it absolutely clear.
That's kind of you. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I tend to just put my headphones in, listen to some drill music, and in fact, often I'm in another room. I actually just kind of separate. In fact, she often watches it, right? Like, she'll watch Rania's streams or whatever. And so she'll watch it in the living room. So I actually leave because I don't want to have anything to do with that while I'm playing.
Yeah, I remember you saying you get kicked out sometimes.
Yeah.
But that was partly what I thought was so funny about that image is the fact that not only are you listening to drill music and she's watching streams and on Discord, but just the fact that you're both presumably almost completely silent and not talking to each other while you're both doing these activities is just a hilarious image.
That's exactly what it is, I'm afraid.
We have a tournament now, and we can sort of. I'm just going to read out all the names who are in the tournament because it's quite interesting to go through them all. Feel free to jump in at all. But in the Ice division, we've got Gino, former champion. Deep Finesse, Bizzle, Halai, Zitkob, Zavok, who's just joined into live play and has made it into the tournament. He's looking very good. Ninja 97, Leuschkin, Hard Diggler, Vulmicatone, Tehslippery, and Tetbep. This is testing my pronunciation, but I feel like I'm doing quite well.
I think you should be Bizel's chief advisor on pronunciation.
Tehslippery is the interesting one because he qualified in a 3-way tie for first place last night, right?
Yes.
Which is just madness. And he won on number of coins, I think, was the tiebreaker. So it went to, I guess that's the first tiebreaker, but that's a crazy close game, 3-way tie. And then in the fire division, we have Barnawal, Nerdcube, Claybo, Green Rain, Bowser Hugs, Ranyor, Ryan the Man, FireX, Matt the Lesser, Chickens 0003, Babuk 49, and some guy called Ghostly.
And that's actually in seed order. That's in ELO order. So yes, I'm right at the bottom of fire division.
You are penultimate. In fairness, you're above Babuk on the list.
Although I would sit here right now and tell you Babuk is a far better player than me. So we must be close in ELO, and probably one of us was on the way up and the other on the way down. Because Babuk's a great player.
But yeah, that's the tournament, and it's great. Like, there's a mixture of sort of former champions, people who we know are brilliant at live play and have played brilliant live play. You've got people like Zavok, who is fairly new to live play, or but a sort of historic Snellman champion, and then some good new names from the open format. So like Tetbep is sort of up and coming and but won 2 really good qualifiers. It's great. Stacked.
Next Saturday, I don't know when this non-podcast is going out, but next Saturday is the where we do the team picks. So the list you just read out, the top of those lists have the team captains, and they then get to choose first from the list of who they would like to play against. And then it kind of cascades down. So the person they pick then picks someone else, etc., etc. And that's how the groups are established for the next stage in the competition.
Yeah, which is a fun stream for everyone to for people to pick. Yeah, it's a really interesting way of doing it, that you get some picks. I know Bizzle likes it being spicy and wants everyone to fall out with each other, and
he wants maximum spice. Vindaloo heat the whole way.
I shy away from the spice. It makes me nervous, but I know that's what the crowd wants. Cool, good one. Anything else?
No, I think that's it. Thank you very much for allowing me to do the correction. But I think it's an interesting story, and I was gutted I got it wrong before, because actually it is. I think it's genuinely an interesting story in the evolution of this competition. And also I looked foolish if I got it wrong, but
it's a pretty fine detail. I don't think you're that foolish for getting it wrong, but it is interesting, especially given the context of these qualifiers last night. It's interesting for sure. Cool. I'll speak to you soon, I guess.
Thank you very much.